welcome back to the channel, Soapsters, and in today's tutorial we're going to look at doing a goat's milk soap. So what I've got here is some frozen goat's milk, and you can see this in a bowl within an ice bath. Now whenever I do a goat's milk soap, what I'm going to try and do is make sure that I'm not going to overheat this goat's milk, otherwise it will go really funny. And I will do a tutorial about how different ways of doing a goat's milk lye can generate different colours of lye, and what you really need to be careful of. So ice in the bottom there, goat's milk in there, and we're going to go nice and slowly on this one just to make sure that we do not scorch this particular batch of goat's milk. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the sodium hydroxide in very slowly into my goat's milk, and we're going to keep stirring in the ice bath. Now this is one of the only times you will find me doing a goat's milk or doing a lye solution in an ice bath. Most of the time it doesn't really bother me how much it heats up. I'm going to do a master batch anyway, but with milks or with juices or anything that's got sugar content to it that you're making the lye with, it really does help to put it into an ice bath. The ice bath keeps all of the temperatures down, and because obviously making a lye solution can increase the temperature quite significantly, so a water lye can go up to like 120 degrees Celsius. It can go really high if you do it very, very quickly. It's going to scorch milk. If you've ever brought milk up to a boil and then kept it at that temperature for a long time, it scorches, it burns. So what you want to try and do with a goat's milk is keep it nice and cool. So you'll see on my thermometer here, we're still kind of looking at a 7 or 8 degree rise from zero, because this is obviously a frozen goat's milk in an ice bath. And as we create our lye solution, we should be able to just really nicely keep that temperature down, keep the lye solution a pale colour so it doesn't turn orange, you don't get any acrid kind of ammonia smell from it or anything like that. And that's the reason why I would make my lye solution with goat's milk like this in an ice bath, rather than just using milk and dumping the lye in and making it like I would with water. So that's why I'm doing this, and what we'll do is we'll speed this up now, get through it, and we'll come back when we start to actually make the soap itself. And now whilst we speed this up, this is going to be a thin lines pour, which means we're going to need to keep the batter fairly fluid. Now I'm using a fragrance oil that may speed the trace up a little bit, so I may need to work a little bit faster. So bear in mind with all of these that you want to work as cool as possible, and try to put the fragrance oil in at the last minute, and you will then stand a better chance. So we've got our oils here and our lye solution here, and you can see the colour of that is nice and pale. It's a really beautiful lye solution, this one. So what we're going to do is pour that lye down the barrel of the stick blender, because we don't really want to incorporate too much air into this. So I've added my fragrance oil there. This is a personal bar, so I'm not measuring it out. Really, I should have brought this to trace and then put the fragrance oil in, and you'll see why in a little bit, but we still got a really nice bar out of this, so I'm not particularly worried. So we're pouring our lye solution into there, and a milk solution, a milk lye, can always increase the risk of your trace accelerating. So do be a little bit aware of that, and choose a design or a colour scheme that will allow you to work with a slight acceleration. My fragrance oil also helped with the acceleration, but it didn't go too quickly, too fast, so we're not going to be too bad on getting our thin lines pour out on this one, but you'll see how that thickening in the final bar, you can actually see it happen within the layers of the bar. So let's just bring this to a very quick trace, and I'm basically giving it a little pulse and then a stir, little pulse and a stir, and I just want to bring that up to emulsion. And in an amount like this, it doesn't take very long, it takes a matter of seconds. We're just making sure that we bring it to an emulsion, and you should be able to see on the end of that stick blender there, we're getting no separation, so that's good. So we'll get rid of that, get the stick blender away, and get our colours separated out. And you'll notice here as we do this, things just starting to set up. So as soon as you separate your batter, you're reducing the amount, the temperature is still going to increase, and therefore a smaller amount of soap will thicken quicker than if you've got a large amount of soap. All right, so working in small batches can sometimes be harder, because you have to bear in mind that the temperature is still going to rise and you've got less soap, so you kind of need to just be aware of that. So I do like to pre-mix all my oils. So you can see I've got a lovely blue. This is an electric blue here. And I've got a neon red, which turns slightly orange in the final soap, but that's fine. We're not particularly bothered by that one. We just wanted to get some nice colours going on in there. So we'll get that stirred in. So you can see it's still nice and fluid at the moment, which is great. We're going to pop a little bit more in there. And now have you noticed how that's just started to thicken up a little bit in that last one there? So let's move across to our red and get that stirred. And again, we've got a nice fluid batter going on here, but keep an eye on that. Can you see how that's now starting to thicken up? Now, this should have been a little bit slower of a pour, but I'm going to have to speed up a little bit here. So I'm giving that a good stir. Stirring often means that you're going to get a little bit more work time out of it, because you're just agitating it and you're making sure that everything is mixed together. And what we're going to do is, rather than kind of worrying too much about this, we're just going to pour this. Let's bring it into the center there. We're going to pour this in 2 bits either side, but you'll notice here, I'm trying to pour it down the side, it's just sitting on the top. So we are really getting some acceleration. What do we do in this circumstance? Because this isn't really going to work. And I've just realised that's kind of a Harley Quinn colour, isn't it? We give it a quick stir. Just give it a little mix like that. And what it'll do is it'll just mean you can do a little bit more with it. And then let's pour this down here. And you can still see we're getting some nice thin lines in there. But now watch as we get through the blue and the yellow, our creamy white colour starts to come through. And we really have thickened that up. So we got a pour out of it, and it's going to be a lovely pour, but it's not quite the pour I was going for. But hey ho, we go with these things, we see how we get on, and we're just going to have to scrape the rest of these little bits and pieces out into the top of this soap, and then we'll move on to our frosting part. This is going to set up quite nicely, and everything's going to stick very well to it, so we'll move on to that. Now for the frosting, I'm actually using exactly the same oil base. I'm using water lye rather than the goat's milk lye, and I've got a little bit of white mica in here because I really wanted this to be a nice white colour. So I've just stick blended the mica in initially. Now if you do stick blend mica into your oils, you have to be very careful with trace, because it becomes harder to spot trace with a mica introduced. But you can see now how this particular batch slows down. It's got a far longer working time because it hasn't got the sugars from the goat's milk, and it hasn't got the fragrance oil in it, so that it's going to kind of speed that up. Now this is going to be for frosting, so I've brought this to an emulsion, and I prefer to work this way rather than bringing it up to a pipeable trace, because I'm reducing the amount of working time I've got with it, and therefore I reduce the amount of time I've got to pipe with, and so I need to be a bit careful. So I'm going to leave that as is, and I'm going to allow it to thicken. Now this could take 10, it could take 30 minutes. I come back every 10 minutes or so, give it a little stir just to make sure that it's okay. And this was after about 30 minutes. You can see how this is now really nicely thickened up. Because I've allowed it to do this, I have a lot of working time with it. I can do a lot of piping with it, but you can see how that's really holding its shape. As I'm scooping it out, it's really holding that shape. Now you need to have that consistency in order to pipe with. You don't have to make your own magic piping recipe. You can literally use the recipe you have, allow it to thicken up in its own time, and you can pipe with this very easily. And all I'm going to do is do a very, very easy pipe, which is basically a dot with a flick. And you can see I get nice points on the top of my soap. And that really is all it is to piping. If you have the right consistency, it's not going to flow out at the end of the tube. It's not going to flow everywhere. You have more control of it. It will pile up higher as well, because it can support the layers below it. If the bottom layers are all soggy and soppy, you're not going to be able to put anything on top. But you'll notice here that I can go along and I can really pile this up nice and high and get a nice frosted soap to this particular bar. So don't go out and buy specific recipes. People will sell you a piping recipe. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is allow your own recipe time to thicken into this nice piping consistency. And as I say, I haven't bothered with getting any fragrance oil in there, because you've got the fragrance in the bottom. The top needs that time, and there we go. That's basically all done. And all I'm now going to do is grab a little bit of glitter. So what I'm going to do now is grab some, this is now biodegradable glitter, and all I'm going to do is grab a little brush that I'm going to dip into the glitter and then just flick it onto the top so we get a nice glittery top to this one. Now do bear in mind, if you are going to use glitter on your soaps, you do need to make sure they are biodegradable, so when they go down into the drain they biodegrade and we don't leave microplastics in our environment. And I won't pop this because I want the white to be a nice bright top. And so here we are with the cut of this soap. Now when you've got glitters and stuff on the top like this, what you need to do is actually turn it onto its side so that you're not dragging the glitter through the soap. So what I'm going to do is just pop it on its side like this, give it a quick wipe and then slice through, and let's see what sort of inside of this soap we get, because I'm actually rather pleased with this one. So just move this off to the side a little bit, and if we look inside here, so you can see there we've got our thin lines pour, we've got some white coming through, which is great, but you can see how thick that got, and we kind of got a graduation, which I kind of quite like, and I'm really pleased with something that was accelerating. It created a beautiful soap. So hopefully you've really enjoyed a slightly different take on a soap, and maybe you'll give piping a go. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps my channel grow and it allows me to make more videos for all of you. If you want to get notified the next time a video is uploaded, please click the bell icon and that will notify you every time a video is uploaded. And until next time, soapsters, I hope you have a great week and see you again soon. Bye bye.